Hello, this is Mike Ginnitti from Spotrac breaking down Freddie Freeman's 6-year, $162 million contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Still weird to see that. Still weird to see him in a new uniform that doesn't look like the Braves. But here we are. Pretty clear-cut contract with the exception of deferrals. And the point of this breakdown is to understand what those deferrals mean both for the player and for the team, and the reason that many of these teams are pushing to do this as the contracts get larger and larger. Freeman will see $105 million of this over the next 6 years. Don't worry, he's not taking a discount. This is not a restructure. It is simply money pushed until later. And as you'll see here as I scroll down, there's the 105 in terms of actual cash paid out over these next 6 seasons with LA. And then 13 years of deferred money kicks in. And the structure is pretty simple. Until 2036, he'll be making $4 million a year every July 1st. And then for the next 5 seasons after that, through 2040, when he's 50 years old, he'll be making $5 million a year. So he'll be long gone from the game at that point, and still cashing in a pretty good chunk of change every July 1st, which has become the standard day for MLB deferral payments across the league. And we've got plenty of those covered on Spotrac. If you scroll down into deferred payments, even with players, some of your most favorite players who have been retired for a few years now, Ken Griffey Jr., Bobby Bonilla, of course. And Freddie Freeman will join that club. So what does it mean now for the Dodgers? You'll see this is a $27 million per year contract in terms of average salary, the payroll salary, but the tax salary is where things change, and this is what it's all about. This note here tells you what's going on here. Because of the deferred money, the current value of the contract drops, right? So it's an accounting trick. So if it's 162 in total value, because we're pushing $57 million of that out to 2028, the Dodgers are able to say, well, the current day, the present day value of this contract is actually 148 and change, this number here. So that divided by 6 gets you a brand new luxury tax salary, which is $2.5 million lower than what it could have been had they not deferred any money. You can say it's only $2.5 million, but for the Dodgers, who, with all intents and purposes, are headed towards $290 million this year, Trevor Bauer notwithstanding, there's going to be quite a bill. You know, I think if we flip over to the Dodgers payroll right now, this does not include Trevor Bauer, who we currently have on the restricted list as the league has placed him there. So his $34 million is not accounted for right now. But even without it, we've got a $230 threshold and tax allocations of $258 for the Dodgers. So about 28 over an estimated bill of $23 million. So it's almost costing the Dodgers an extra Freddie Freeman salary in terms of tax bill right now. They don't care. This is a super team. This is the odds-on favorite to win the World Series. And by the way, once Trevor Bauer's $34 million comes back into the conversation, that $260 becomes $294. That bill doubles. The tax threshold, the extra tier kicks in. The Steve Cohen tax that has been added to the latest CBA kicks in. And this gets a lot more expensive. But like I said, everything coming out of LA, including from the coach's mouth himself, is nothing matters because we expect to be in this thing at the last game of the season and our second World Series in 3 seasons. So that's what this signing was all about. There's more moves to come here. I mean, there's some players that could trade away to lower that tax threshold a little bit. But that's how the deferred payments impact the immediacy of the team's payroll. Not so much here, not so much here. Certainly not the cash. I mean, Freddie Freeman's going to see all of that and even more with interest. But that's the number right there, the luxury tax salary that dips down. Just some quick rankings on this contract. The overall 162, that $27 million per year makes Freddie Freeman the 10th highest average paid non-pitcher in baseball. Certainly some of these pitchers' contracts have gone big, and rightfully so. But the non-pitchers, the batters, the position players, you'll see a bunch of new ones here. Frankie Lindor was last season. Rendon was 2 seasons ago. There's Carlos Correa's basically 1 year plus player option contract with Minnesota. Seager's brand new in Texas. These are some older ones here. There's Mookie. So we're talking about, 2 top 10 contracts for the Dodgers here. And no other team in baseball can kind of boast that right now, which is kind of crazy, except for, of course, Trout and Rendon. And oh, by the way, Ohtani's going to be on this list at some point in time. Maybe not the longest contract in the world, but I fully expect there to be 3 Angels on this top 10 list maybe within 6 months, if Ohtani looks like the same Ohtani we had last year. So from a ranking perspective, that's where it is right now. If we flip over to the contract structure, right, that total value of 162, you got to go pretty far down this list to find Freddie Freeman, all right? I mean, he is about 37th on this list, 36 with some ties above him. But his 162 is, in the Altuve Sabathia mark here. But that's the reason why right there. I mean, this is a 31, 32-year-old player right here. And if you scroll up, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a contract of a player that old with, this large. A-Rod at 32 got 275. But that's one of the reasons the contracts in the free agent system were broke in the first place, is those kind of contracts were being thrown out. So it's good coin. It's really good coin for a player of his age that, the decline is going to start to kick in. But with the DH now available everywhere, that should elongate his career and his value to the team. And you can understand both sides of it. You can understand the Dodgers going this big, and you can understand the Braves saying, we're not going that 6th year. That's not how we operate. We need to keep the turnstiles moving. And it's been a hell of a career, but we got to move on. So that's Freddie Freeman's contract, including $57 million deferred.